Hello everyone, this is Ben Ryder from Agfa, and not the last part, but just certainly one thing we're going to look at now is the difference between materials like this, where you can paint things on. So if I go back here to landscape and paint, I have the freedom to sort of paint these different textures on, and then what's known as auto materials. Now what auto materials do is they take the slope of this terrain and then automatically apply the different sort of rock textures there to be able to essentially sort of like guess where you want the sort of rock and the grass to appear. So it can be very useful for just quickly creating terrain textures, everything. And I've got one here that I can just show you. So instead of going landscape 4, I'm just going to go landscape 2, and you can get an idea. And here you can see automatically. Basically, it just paints it all in for us. And the good thing about that is if I change this terrain now, so I go here to my sculpt, and I start sculpting things up, you can see it automatically applies it to any of the shapes that are here. So if I sort of make this brush size a bit bigger and I create a plateau and then I flatten that out by using the flatten tool here, you can see it applies that sort of dirt, sort of dust sort of thing on this particular material, and then on the sides there it just puts in that one there. So some people prefer this. The only issue with that is you kind of do lose your ability to paint these in now, because it's basically being taken care of by that input. So it's up to you how you want to do that, but I will go through it just in case that is something that you want to do. You don't want to spend ages like painting your terrain, you just want to have it come in automatically like this. So if we have a look at this material, there's a few different changes here, but this is the auto material part. So basically we have a blend material, we have a world alignment blend, which is calculating where the cliffs and the sharpness of it is, and then we can change the amount of the sharpness and bias blend there. And then basically we've got A and B. So A is our sort of texture over here, our grass texture, and then B is our rock texture. If we follow it through long enough and everything. So if we go back to our more simpler version of that, this one here, we've got our grass, we've got our rock. So let's just look at how we can do that. So whereas before we had this layer blend, I'm actually going to put in a different type of layer blend here, which you can see just up in here, which is that material expression landscape weight layer blend. So landscape and layer weight blend. And so we have the base and then we have the layer. And so that's what's going to be plugging into here from, Okay, so we might have to just finish building this first and then we'll get it in. So if we go back here to our layer blend, so we've got to now build our auto material here. So we've got to blend our materials in here with the rock, grass, and then this alpha, which is sort of calculating the angle of things. So go back here, so blend layer material, oops. Now there's different ones we can blend it by, so I'm just trying to get the exact one that it is. There it is, just blend material attributes. So then that is going to come into layer, like it is, oh no, to base, sorry. And then we're going to bring in the world aligned blend. And that's this one here. And so there's a few ones here. We want to go with vertex normals, not the alpha. I know that seems counterintuitive because alpha here and alpha here, but we're going to go with that. And then these two here, the blend sharpness and blend bias, we're just going to promote to a parameter. We just do that by right clicking on here, float to parameter, and promote to parameter. This one I believe is normally 30, and blend bias is normally -12. So those are just the ones that work for this particular one, but you can play around with those a little bit more if you want to. So we've got our rock texture here, and we're going to go into B, and then we've got our grass texture here. I'm going to go to A, save. Now I'll see if this actually connects here. It'll probably give us a few errors because it'll say something doesn't work here because it's not all connected up. And yes, so it will now connect up there. So that's our base, and then the layer is this rock texture there as well. So we'll go to our rock texture again, get into layer, like so. Now, you'll have to try this. Sometimes those are the other way around, but we'll see as we go. So we'll save that now, and then reapply this landscape forward to our terrain and see if it actually applies all those different sort of texture things. So as I said before, it's just a way of automating that. So here's, say as you can see, you've got the rock at the top and grass down the bottom here, so we'll see if that has done those correctly. So again, it just means that once you've sculpted your terrain out, you can just apply this material and it does a lot of that for you, which can be good. But again, it really depends on how much control you want over all those different things. Now, as we can see, it's done it, but it's done it the other way around, meaning that it's got the grass up on top and the rock down the bottom. Now, you may want that. That may be the way that you want it to actually look. You might want the vegetation and the moss up on top of it, especially if you have things like snow, snow texture, you might want that there instead. But I don't think that's what we're going to go with for ours because it looks a little bit weird. So we're just going to flip those over because I clearly got that bit the wrong way around. So I think it'll just be down to this one needs to go to A and that one needs to go to B. Save. And what it should be, I believe, is then rock down the bottom and a patch of grass up on the top there. Yep, that's looking a lot better now. Yep, that should be what we want. Yeah, there we go. Cool. So yeah, so like I said, it's not for everyone, and some people would prefer just to be able to keep control of their own sort of painting and everything, and if that's you, by all means do it that way. But I thought be remiss if we didn't show exactly how to do that and fine-tune that so that you can do all those things in there. So anyway, that'll be the end of this tutorial. We'll just wait for that last part there. Yep, and so there we go. So that's all set up nicely. What we might look at later in the next tutorial is how we can get a ocean into this, just so it sort of looks a little bit more real. There's actually a free texture that's really quite good that we'll look into called this water materials one. So I'll show you how to get that, and then we might start looking at ramps. So how do we build a pathway through here to make sure that our character can appropriately climb up this mountain? But we'll look at that in the next video. Catch you then.